What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dell on Movies and another episode of Watch These Movies. This is the series where I recommend five movies to you. As usual, I'm going to start with the most accessible of these movies and then move on to some things that are a little more out there. So, this stack, there's really nothing that's too far out there, just five solid movies here. And I'm going to start off with what I think is the most accessible of them all, and that is Short Term 12. Larson stars in this film. She plays a counselor at a group home for troubled teens, and she is she lives with this guy here. That's her boyfriend. And they have an up and down relationship. And there's also the relationships that she has with the teens that she works with. And what we get is a really heartfelt film. Brie Larson is fantastic in it. This is before she had entered the MCU and became Captain Marvel. And if you remember her career before that, she was considered to be one of the more talented actresses out there and on the rise. And eventually she would get Academy Award nominated for Room. And I thought she was great in that movie. But she is also excellent here. This is a romance, but this is not one of those ooey gooey kind of romances. Feels a lot more grounded in reality. So if you're looking for that kind of film, I would definitely check out Short Term 12. Be on the lookout for an early performance from Lakeith Stansfield, who's also really good in this film. And I remember the first time I saw it, it just gave me a lot to reflect on and also had a pretty good love story in it. So Short Term 12 is my first movie. Next up is not a love story. Well, actually, it's sort of a love story, but not in the same way of Short Term 12. This is between a guy and his niece, and don't get crazy. It's not that kind of love story. What it is, well, let's just introduce the movie. This is called Don't Let Go. And this one stars Daniel Kaluuya and Storm Reed. He is a police officer, and his niece, played by Storm Reed, has been recently murdered. And strangely enough, though, his phone rings one day and it is her on the phone, even though she has been killed. Somehow, he is receiving a phone call from her in the past. And the two of them have to work together to try to solve her murder in the present. It's a pretty unique premise, and I thought they handled it really well. And I apologize because I said Daniel Talua. This is David Oyelowo, and I apologize to both him and Daniel Kaluuya, both fantastic actors. But yeah, this is David Oyelowo, and yeah, he's great in the movie. He's great in just about everything. Storm Reed gives us the right amount of angst and she's playing a real teenager, but one who's in shock over her reality, which is that she no longer exists. And even though we can hear her and her uncle can hear her, so it's an interesting kind of a movie. I thought it was really underseen a couple years ago when it came out. I want to say like 2017 or something like that. I'll put the year up on the screen. Um, but yeah, definitely check out Don't Let Go if you're looking for a sci-fi ish movie. It's definitely a sci-fi movie, but it's not one that's out in space and a bunch of lasers and all that kind of thing. This is uh, basically feels like you're just in the real world and this strange thing has happened. So yeah, Don't Let Go is a good one. I know a lot of you out there who watch my channel consider yourself movie buffs, and I'm going on to my third movie here. And one of the things us buffs do is we love Coen Brothers movies. And, we could talk all day, Raising Arizona, No Country for Old Men, and Miller's Crossing. And there's lots of other movies of theirs, that True Grit, the True Grit remake, Blood Simple, that get lots of acclaim. This one doesn't, except by people who are telling you that you should watch it because it's a great Coen Brothers movie. And that is Burn After Reading. And in this film, we get a bunch of nitwits is basically what it boils down to. It's almost like a Coen Brothers take on a Tarantino or a Guy Ritchie movie, and so it's a dark comedy. And in this movie, we get Brad Pitt. right up here. He works in a gym along with Francis McDormand, and they discover this disc. This is back in the day when information was kept on floppy disk, and there are a bunch of CIA secrets on there. What they don't know is that these secrets are pretty much irrelevant. So they're trying to find a way to either expose or profit off of these secrets. And there's a whole bunch of rigmarole. And you can see some of the cast that's on here. We got George Clooney is here. We got John Malkovich, Tilda Swinton. It's a fantastic cast for a very darkly funny movie, and one of the, I won't say whose death it is, but one of the deaths just kind of is just right out of nowhere and just changes the whole trajectory of the movie. Um, Definitely highly recommend Burn After Reading. Really, really good Coen Brothers film that is overshadowed by the rest of their work. Next up is we're going back to the love thing. The next up this time I don't even know if it's you can call it a love story. Yeah, you can call it a love story. This is The Sessions. This movie, I put it back here as one of the least accessible movies in this pile because of the subject matter. This is a pretty well known, at least for a time, was pretty well known because it earned some Oscar nominations back when it came out. But it's John Hawkes. He plays a paraplegic man who's basically, so he's confined to his bed. He's been that way, I think, his whole life, and he's never been with a woman. And his one wish is to know what it's like to actually have sex. He wants to lose his virginity, but he and his family or his helpers, they have to figure out how to do this. So what they do is they hire this woman played by Helen Hunt, and she's basically, it's not so simple as she shows up and they have sex. She has to kind of teach him how to even how how to interact without being able to move any of his body, right? He can't move anything except his head. And the two of them, of course, form a bond and a friendship and all that kinds of things while he's learning and working his way up to actually having sex. So it's not like, again, she can't just show up and they do it because of the mechanics of how his body works or doesn't work. And Hawks and Hunt are both fabulous in this movie. It is fantastic, the two of them together. And as you can see down here, whoa, where did I say? Waymate Macy right here is also really good in this film. And then there's a young lady. I'm looking up her name to see if it's up here. Well, Rhea Perlman, not who I'm talking about, or Rhea Perlman is in this movie. Moon Blood God. That's the young lady. The other young lady, she plays kind of his assistant in the film, and gives an underrated performance because even at the height of the hype on this movie, when it was getting its garnering its Oscar nods, she was not talked about, but I thought she was just phenomenal in this movie, and the faces that she made and the snark with which she delivered her lines was perfect. And yeah, it's definitely an interesting kind of movie. Not one to show the whole family, just based on the subject matter. And yes, Helen Hunt spends a lot of this movie naked, so not one that you're gonna put on for Thanksgiving. We got that's coming up in a couple months. So if you're want to see a drama, definitely one that's an adult theme drama, I highly recommend The Sessions. And that brings me to the last one, which you could probably show more people, so it's a little more accessible that way, but it's a horror movie-ish. And it gets bloody sometimes. And this movie is Daybreakers. It is a vampire movie, and I know with Sinners coming out earlier this year, we're back to talking about vampire flicks. And in this one, vampires have already taken over the world. Um, if you're a fan of Blade, you'll know that one of the big lines in Blade by the bad guy was that why should we be negotiating with these people? Why should we be trying to placate these people, meaning human beings? Because they're our food. We should just take over, right? Well, that's happened in Daybreakers. Most people are vampires. There are some humans or some humans around, not many. And Ethan Hawke's character, makes a discovery, and it may actually help humans. So as you can imagine, that causes some conflict. So that's the source of a lot of the action of the movie. The funny part about Daybreakers is that it is set in 2019, which was the future back when it came out, but no longer the case. But in any event, I still say give Daybreakers a watch. It is a really fun vampire movie and a different kind of vampire movie. So it's not uh, your typical let's you know kill as many people as possible or try to romance women into becoming vampires and then stake through the heart. It's got a little more on its mind than that. So I would definitely check it out. That is all I have for you guys on this one. Thanks for hanging out with me. And if you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. Bye.